joining us today for another episode of What's Your Why Wednesday. Today, I am joined by the lovely Gigi Tabares. She is a mortgage loan originator at EPM. Thank you so much, Gigi, for joining us. You know,
thank you.
Most of us came into this crazy mortgage industry by accident, but we stay in this industry because it's tied to our personal and professional why. So at this time, Gigi, we would love to hear, what is your why?
Thank you, Laura. So my why is I got so inspired by my mom, came from Colombia in South America. She wanted the American dream. She wanted to feel at peace, protected, safe. She came to the United States, and I was just really inspired by her, how she took the leap of faith. She left her whole family, everything, and she came and she did it by herself, and I was just really surprised. We worked together and I was like, you know what, Mom, I'm tired of paying rent. We always got to move here and there. Let's take a leap of faith and purchase a home. So we did that, and we did it together. And that was the most happiest moment of my life, I would have to say. It was a change. And I couldn't believe that we actually did it together. And I actually was able to give my mom something that she's been yearning for so many years to actually have. And she's super blessed and happy. So that's
wow. I love that story. And it's so amazing. I mean, two things, right? I mean, kudos to your mom. I mean, I say that all the time, that I couldn't even imagine. It's actually funny. I have a house out in Arizona also, and the East Coast. And whenever I drive through Arizona, there's parts of the country where it's just flat and there's nothing, right? And every time I see that, I picture people in wagons, in the 1800s, going across these plains. And I always turn to my husband and I always say, could you imagine? Let's say you live in New Jersey, and you're in New Jersey in the 1800s, and somebody says there's gold out in the West Coast, and you can move your family, and you pack everything into a wagon, right? And your kids and the whole thing, and you not knowing what's out there, not having any idea. That's what your mother did. It's the same
with
thing.
Not knowing English.
Nothing. Oh, that's even worse. Even worse. That is even worse. At least in America, you were speaking the same language.
Right.
I think about that, and I'm like, we are so blessed to be here. And we have so many opportunities and so much ability and no limits. There is not one thing we could complain about, right? When you think about it, right? And so for you to have recognized your mom's struggle, right? And I'm sure your mother probably doesn't complain about anything. I have a feeling, right? She doesn't.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, she doesn't say I had it rough or it was no. No. So for you to recognize it, because your mom doesn't complain about it or doesn't bring it up, right? So for you to recognize her struggle, even though she doesn't say it, and for you to say, no, we're going to make a change. We're going to build generational wealth. We're going to be homeowners. And then to be able to provide that to others, to then expand it and apply that is such a blessing and a tribute to your mom.
It is.
It is.
It really is.
It's a tribute.
I've learned so much from her, and I'm just like, and you look nowadays, especially, you're like, how the heck does she do that by herself? Because I'm like, I would be so scared.
I agree. So did she come here before you were born, or was it after you were born?
So she met my dad. He's Colombian as well, but he was already living here. I guess his family migrated from the farmers. So he went there, they fell in love. He brought her here, and then she had me 4 years later after. And she went to school. I saw the struggle. She worked at the farm. cranberries, picking cranberries, just to do whatever she needed to do to provide to her family. And, you know, growing up, and I'm just like, wow. And then we moved to Florida, they divorced, and I was like, you know what? My dad couldn't do this for you, but we could do it together. And, you know, everyone was like, you should try to buy a home. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I didn't think you can. And we tried, and we got our home, our first home together. And that was just like, that was a blessing. And that's
Wow.
where my love for mortgages came from as well.
So you came into the mortgage industry, obviously, after that. And was it because of that? Like, was it because of the experience?
A majority really intrigued me throughout the whole process, because the lender said, no, we can't qualify you. And then someone, I worked with another loan officer, and she's like, yes, you can. You just got to do this, this. And she explained. And I was literally 23 years old. And I'm like, okay. And we got our house, and I was like, that was really interesting. I didn't think, being a minority, like we could actually do that. You know, they didn't teach us this. So it was more of a blessing, and just realizing, like, you know what, if we did it, we could do this. Everyone can. It's just teaching, taking the education, knowing what you can do. And maybe not right now, you don't qualify, but in the near future, you can. You just got to, here's the steps. You know, they don't teach this to you in school.
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no. And it really does trickle down from your family, like how your family knows the information and the community you're in. If you happen to be in a community where it's like, no, not us, you know, we don't buy homes, you know, that's for other people. Well, then you just don't know, right? You think that you don't qualify and that's the importance, Gigi. That's the importance of what originators and loan officers do for everyone, is that you have to go into those communities and be able to educate and be able to spend the time. Like you said, maybe it's not right now. That's okay. It could be in the future, once you have everything organized and you're ready and prepared, and you can take on that challenge of
at least, you know, there's hope.
That's right. That's right. All right. So we've established how you came in. We know your why, certainly, and I love it. What a wonderful story. Now I want to hear, we all in the mortgage industry, although we help so many families and every one of them is special to us, there are a few that stand out even more special to us. Yeah. And I love hearing those stories, because that really is our reminder of why we do what we do every day. So at this time, I would love to hear, please share one of those special stories that stands out to you.
There is one that really touched my heart, because I related so much to her. She was a single mom. She was an immigrant. She had her EAD card, and she never thought that she could actually, you know, she's not a US citizen yet, but she didn't think she can actually purchase. And I said, yes, let's go ahead. Many people shot her down. They were like, just, you can't. I went ahead and taught her what you need to do. Like, go ahead, let's work on your credit. This is how you can save money. Actually went a little bit step, started looking at her bank statements. I'm like, well, let's start saving money. If you budget this, this, and this, and you save this, if you save this in a year, you'll have your down payment. So let's just be a little bit tight. Let's knock off the necessary things that you don't really need and really budget. So she said, okay, it was her and her. She had 2 little girls. I remember her sending me pictures. I think I'm ready. I'm doing this for my kids.
That's her why. That's her why.
Yes. So she went ahead, gave me all her documents. I'm like, I think we're ready. So we went ahead, pushed through. She had a really great realtor. She got her house. We finally closed, and I went to the closing. And I finally got to meet her 2 little girls, and I gave her a hug, and she cried, and she was shaking. She's like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even tried. And I was like, oh, And I know how hard it is. Like you really, it's the unknown. And that's the scary part for them, is the unknown. Like, well, I don't know if I can do this or anything. I'm like, yes, you can. Like, here's the rules. This is what we need to do. And I guided her through the whole thing, and her kids gave me a hug. I was like, oh my God. And I was just, this is why in the industry we do this, is just to see that gratitude and that satisfaction and that happiness, that, wow, if it was because of this team, it's because of this team that actually got this house, you know, and they could leave it for the kids and future, you know. So
Gigi, you changed all of their lives forever. Like that's the whole reason why I love hearing these stories and why I love doing this little podcast, because I want everyone listening, I want everyone to realize that moment created a ripple that will go on, not just in her family, in generations to come. It will
think about that, but
it spreads. Because what did we just say? Depending on the family unit you're in or the community you're in, that's how you think. Those girls were part of their mother going through that. And now those girls, when they grow up and they go to move in, whether it's renting or whether buying, they're in their mind, they're automatically going to shoot to buy a home, because that's what the mother did. So regardless if it's, you know, when they're 23 or when they're 45, it doesn't matter. In their mind, you own a home. Like that's what you do. So you've changed the entire cycle of what the future is, because it's not just her, it's not just her kids. Now it spreads beyond that. Like it changed forever.
It
all
really
because
did.
You took the time to not say, oh no, you don't qualify, you don't have a down payment, you know, you're correct, or oh no, it's too much work to go through this EAD stuff, and you know, you could have said that, and I'm sure many people did.
I'm sure they did, because they did.
Yes, they did.
They're
but
like,
no, you saw the bigger picture. And I want everyone to realize, every single time we sit down with a family, you are not just affecting that moment. You are affecting generations to come. And that ripple is making a difference out there. And all of you are making a difference in the world.
And it really is. Oh, no, thank you. And I didn't even realize that. You're right. Generations to come. I mean, that changes the whole aspect of everything, because they're parents. Yeah.
That's exactly right. All right, awesome. Well, Gigi, I love this. This is fabulous. I have one final question for you. Okay. So I also like to hear about, you know, we've been in the mortgage industry, and each one of us have different, you know, journeys and different paths that we have taken. And I love to hear a little bit of advice for someone that may be thinking of coming into our industry, or someone that's newer to our industry, of kind of what would be your advice of how to really learn, grow, be successful, and most important, be fulfilled, right? Feeling good about what we do. What would be your advice for them?
There's a couple advice that I would love to give new loan originators that are coming into the business, or that they're thinking about it. One thing I would say, don't do it for the money, because it's not for the money. That is one thing that you're going to be surprised at. And you think it's easy, it's not. It's stressful, but it's all about delegating. It's about having a block schedule, your non-negotiables. So remember, this industry, we're always like, go, 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 literally from like 2 a.m. to like midnight. But you need to set boundaries. You need to understand, even though you're new and you're going into it, set boundaries for yourself mentally, set boundaries for your family, and really focus. If you can get a good mentor that would take the time to show you the ropes. I always tell everyone, if you're going to come into this business as a loan originator, you should start out as a junior LO, like an assistant. So you can really understand for a good solid year, really understand the whole aspect of everything. So you can understand the processing side, you can understand the sales side, understand the underwriting side. You want to look at the whole entire picture, just not mind blocked. Really get yourself a good mentor, really take notes, and go to your closings, because that is, for me, I think that's more of my niche, is I go to literally 90% of my closings. If I do not go, it's because I am really swamped, I'm busy, or if there's a fire that I really need to take care of. But go to your closings because you want to see that happiness. You want to really experience what the client is going through. All the emotions, writing is not just signing documents, but there's so many emotions going through, holding their hand through the whole process. We came to the finish line. So that's more of a gratitude for yourself, like, this is why I do this, even though you get so stressed and you want to just rip your hair apart, but you just go to that closing, you're like, this is why I do this. I remind myself every time, this is why I do this. It's worth the tears, the headaches, the stress, just to know that they got their home, and it's for their family for generations, like you say. So it's a rewarding feeling.
I think that advice is fabulous. I agree with you. After all the work of, working with the family and getting them through the whole process, you don't want to miss that part, right? Like that's the part that
you did, like, the part.
Yes, you made it through. That would be like being there through the whole pregnancy and not seeing the baby born. It's like you have to see the end.
Yes. I agree.
I love that. Great advice. And you're right. I think what you said about understanding the whole process and starting as an LOA or something like that, that really is important, because it's very difficult to just plop yourself into an industry or plop yourself. Yeah,
it's overwhelming. You're like,
it is.
What do I do? Realtors calling you crazy, yelling at you. You're like, let's understand the whole entire process. So now you know how to fix a situation. What's the solution? Or you had experience before. Oh, I remember we did this on this file. Maybe we could do this.
Correct.
So not going right dig in, but I think as an assistant, and I'm gonna be honest, that's how I started. And
it's
all
smart.
the loan officers that have been in a business for like 30 years, they're like, Gigi, you came in the right time.
That is
means that you were an assistant before for a year, and then you decided, let me go ahead and get my license and go for it. And that's what I did.
I think it's great. I love it. It's love. All right, Gigi, you are amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your journey, and most importantly, your advice for the future generations to come, because we are blessed to be in this industry.
We are.
And we want to just continue to share that and be grateful and encourage others to join us on this wonderful journey.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Laura, so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Be well.